is city government's perspective on this whole school takeover thing?
The Dan York State of Mind program is brought to you in part by Lookout Rhode Island and Takeo Comfort Solutions.
So obviously we've had the perspective of the commissioner and we've had the perspective of the school board chairperson earlier this week, and we have watched from at least a distance the perspective, warped as it is, of the mayor of the city of Providence, obviously my not so subtle opinion. Great perspective last night from Dan McGowan in the Boston Globe on some of the legal and political intricacies of this school takeover project for the city of Providence by the state Department of Education. Our guest tonight is a former president of the council, now a sitting member of the council, who has his own perspective, can't speak for the body, but I had a pretty candid conversation with David Salvatore while we bumped into each other at one of the opening community meetings, and we've invited him in to kind of elaborate on that, and there's a lot that's happened since I first saw him a few weeks ago on this matter, so I'm looking forward to a dialogue with him on that and a couple other things going on in the city. In the meantime, here's a headline from the latest, and here's an Eyewitness News story about it.
Aye. Motion passed.
Rhode Island's Education Commissioner another step closer to taking control of Providence Public Schools after a vote by the state's Council on Elementary and Secondary Education Tuesday night.
I'm very excited. I feel like we just witnessed history, and now I feel nervous because it's got to get done. Education Commissioner Angelica Infante Green says once the state has control of the district, it can intervene in the budget, programs, and personnel because of a 1997 law called the Crowley Act. Infante Green tells us her job will be to reimagine what Providence schools look like, to get rid of any overlapping bureaucracy, and to create higher standards. It doesn't have to look the way it does today. Clearly what we have today has not worked. This push for state intervention comes in the wake of a scathing Johns Hopkins report on Providence schools, labeling them among the worst in the nation. After that report, 9 public forums were held. The commissioner says 1,100 people attended, sharing comments like this.
We don't even let animals live in the conditions that are present in our schools. Have you ever had to sit in a room and work when all you can smell is the odor of a dead rat somewhere? I have.
Infante Green says she's still developing plans for the district, but while she waits for the state to officially take over, several initiatives will be put in place for the start of the school year, targeted at changing school culture, tracking absenteeism, and creating a cell phone policy. So what you will see in the next few months is benchmarks that we all need to meet, short-term and long-term. The scores will change with time. That's not something that you're going to see an immediate shift. However, you're going to start seeing a shift in all the other things that lead to better outcomes and a better school environment.
Well, you know, it's all there on the buffet right now. You know, just loading up the midnight buffet on the cruise ship. You know, how it digests and how you feel the next morning about it is a whole another story. Welcome. Thanks for coming, Dave.
Thank you, Dan.
What's your executive summary on what's going on? Then we'll dig into some of the issues.
Bottom line, it has to get fixed. These problems, these systemic issues surrounding Providence schools has plagued outcomes for a very, very long time, starting with school building infrastructure. And if we can't get this right now, then we're never going to get it right. And I applaud the new commissioner for what she's trying to pull off. She's going to need a lot of help from the community, from folks in government, from the business community. And it's our responsibility to provide her with the resources to do so.
The term pull off is interesting. I haven't used it, but it has its own meaning. What do you intend by that?
Meaning we, I think, as a school district and as a capital city, have challenges around fixing Providence schools.
Oh, come on, that's the understatement of the year. That's I mean, pull off was authentic. The challenges is cliche. What do you mean by pull it off? As if
she's going to have challenges.
Yeah,
I think the commissioner is going to have challenges.
When you think about whether you can pull it off, whatever it is, can I pull this one off? It generally means, or can someone pull it off? It generally means that the outcome that they are looking for would be an upset outcome. You think it's an upset outcome and what is the upset outcome to pull off?
I am not one of the pundits or the folks who believe this, but I'm sure that there are a lot of critics out there who believe that Providence students and Providence teachers cannot create the outcomes that we're looking for in our capital city. I think we can. I think by, again, collaborating and working together, we can get to that place. But I've had conversations with folks over the last several weeks since the report was published, and they said there's no way you can fix this.
What kind of folks?
Folks in the business community, folks in the neighborhood. I think folks who have been following Providence for a very long time, who are saying you can't afford to fix the problems. I mean, just look at the state of the city's finances. While we're doing very well, I think, on the short term, the first issue that always comes up is the looming over $1 billion now unfunded pension liability. How can you spend almost 25% of your budget on legacy costs while turning a blind eye to schools? So these questions come up all of the time. Again, I think the commissioner, the mayor, the council, the state of Rhode Island, we're going to be challenged with fixing our schools in Providence, and we have a responsibility to give it 110%. If we don't, then shame on us.
I've bumped into so many people who have said, hey, listen, really appreciate your coverage of the Providence school situation. That'll never get fixed. Hey, really appreciate your coverage of the Providence. Hey, you said something really important about the Providence school things the other day. Not a chance. And I'll say, because, and they'll say, well, the unions will never negotiate. And at all, and just city government's dysfunctional, blah blah blah. It is interesting. So Dan McGowan, who was here last night, talked to me about some of the legal challenges that might be looming for the new commissioner's effort here to pull it off. And he refers to John DeSimone, former House Majority Leader, who's now the lawyer for the local Providence Teacher Union, the American Federation of Teachers, who says if they expect that there'll be, if there's any kind of significant unilateral effort to change terms of the contract, they'll be in court. Well, no kidding. But do you need to say it now? In other words, right? So that's a tonal problem, don't you think?
No.
To start predicting court visits on a preliminary basis. The commissioner has not yet showed her cards as to what she's going to ask the union to do.
That's right. That's right. We don't know what the plan is, Dan. We don't know what the plan is to date. And I did read the statute. It's very unclear in terms of what powers the new commissioner and RIDE have. There is a piece of the statute that states if improvements are not made after 3 years, then even broader powers may be granted to RIDE. So it's unclear what can happen.
I agree with you.
In the short term.
Here's the problem. The commissioner so far has been operating in the box that Rhode Island has set up to handle this situation. We don't know that the box is the correct box. I think the gift is so much bigger than the box that we have. And it's like, oh, can I get another box? And the other box needs to be new statutes. Sure. The General Assembly needs to pass a dramatic law, if only specific to the city of Providence right now, exercising complete control for the state, nullifying most of what could be litigated, and just get it in there, man, and let her go at 100 miles an hour. Right?
I agree. There aren't clearly defined regulations in terms of what this new commissioner can and cannot do, what powers she'll be able to exercise. But I think coming out of the box and saying, we're going to court if you do this, that's not coming to the table. And we all heard teachers during these 8 community meetings. Many teachers stood up and said, we want a functioning school district where teachers are able to provide a world-class education, where teachers feel safe. So there is an opportunity to bring teachers to the table just based on the testimonials that we heard during the community meetings. But to come out and say, well, we're taking you to court and not know what the plan is, I think is premature at this point.
Premature, and I think a 15-yard penalty for unsportsmanlike conduct when we come back. City government perspective, what about that side? Next.
Much of the Johns Hopkins report is anecdotal stuff. So I've asked specifically on the report of asbestos falling on. It is not true. It is not happening. I don't say any of that to make excuses for this. The schools are in a deplorable nature.
Let me see if I'm hearing this clearly. You're telling me that which I perceive, and no doubt have been banging the drum on here for the last few weeks, is a false narrative?
They are either old allegations, or they are allegations that, for instance, was the roof leaking? Yes. Was it raw sewage? I'm told no.
I accepted Nick's small presentation in good faith, but the more I think about it, the more I think I got handled here on this program, which doesn't happen often. He was definitely doing the bidding of the mayor. There's just too much other evidence about the conditions of the schools to even validate that kind of tone from the city side. Mm-hmm. And you and I had this conversation early on about the conditions, mm-hmm. and then the city getting out of the way. Let's talk about the city getting out of the way first. Mm-hmm. While this law, I think, is too small a box and flimsy, I think the real goal here ought to be, in all due respect to your elected position, to just extract Providence city government from this exercise. In totality, no names necessary, and over time, the city has failed itself with mm-hmm. the school system. Mm-hmm. Do you agree?
I do. The report is evidence.
With the council, I know you don't speak, and I know you have your own turbulence on the council and the political stuff that goes on, but even Sabina Matos, who's now the council president, is pretty well articulated that she's not too happy with the way Jorge Elorza, the mayor, has actually functioned in this last few weeks. What is your own opinion, and then what do you think the pulse is of the city council in terms of just, if told to get out with the school board and the mayor, would there be a fight there?
There could be. There could be.
Why?
City councils, I won't say are dysfunctional by nature. However, council people are territorial. So if there are school buildings in a particular council person's ward, that council person feels responsible for making sure that the maintenance of that school is being handled.
Why would a counselor feel a direct responsibility other than moral? Mm-hmm. There's no direct. The school committee is supposed to be taking care of buildings, correct?
I think we all have a responsibility to address school buildings. The council is responsible for approving bond measures, for instance. So last November, we asked Providence voters to approve $160 million in borrowing to improve the infrastructure in our school buildings. So that is a role that the council does play. We do receive phone calls all of the time from whether they be teachers, administrators. I feel like I'm a hands-on council person.
Okay, but the place is in squalor. But, mm-hmm. So, I'm not going to go sit targeting any specific counselor or committee person mm-hmm. for responsibility for that. Yet the place is in squalor, and you haven't been able to get it done as a group. Mm-hmm. Get the hell out of the way and let her come in and have even responsibility for the triage. Yeah. No? I mean, the mayor carved the commissioner out because he is the sitting mayor. Mm-hmm. It's his jurisdiction. He carved her out, and he hasn't done a doggone thing to report out what the triage effort is for schools that clearly are urine-scented and rat-infested. Mm-hmm. I mean, come on.
And there's no excuse. There's no excuse for not addressing what I'll call minor problems that become much bigger if you don't address them, because we've deferred this issue now for decades.
Not so minor for kids sitting in a classroom and a teacher who has to deal with the health issues,
well,
right?
That's my point.
You're talking about maintenance, not capital improvement stuff, right? The stuff that would make the buildings habitable now.
That's right. The day-to-day.
Well, what is the council? When's your next formal get-together, by the way? It's summertime, so.
We recess in August. We'll reconvene in September.
But why isn't the city council then, if it still needs to have a role in this or wants to, why isn't it forming an emergency session for a demand of a transparent, auditable accountability mm-hmm. of every building? Where's the trans school committee council momentum to hold the administration accountable for this thing that he has assured the commissioner he will do?
So if that is not going to happen, I believe that we do have a moral obligation as individual council members to go into the school buildings right now, as I have done over the last 2 weeks, to make sure that the maintenance problems that exist don't.
Well, what did you see in the last 2 weeks?
So Robert F. Kennedy Elementary School, there were leaking roofs. there were tiles that need to be replaced. I picked up the phone, I called Principal Burns, and I said, I'm coming in. We're doing a walkthrough, and Aramark, our facilities maintenance contractor, joined us, and we pointed out some deficiencies, and it's my understanding that those problems are going to be addressed in a timely manner.
From what pot is this procedure being funded?
This is Aramark's responsibility, the facilities and maintenance contractor. But that's my responsibility.
Tiles are hard cost. I mean, in other words, do they come back and say, well, that's not what we have in the budget? I mean, oh, this costs $18,000. Where's that money come from?
It either comes from the contract that is paid for by the school district, or it comes from the capital improvement plan. Again, these are minor repairs. The VZ Street Elementary School.
You add up minor repairs by 40 schools, maybe 30, that really are in desperate. I mean, this is not a minor thing.
Then if
this
it's
is my
not,
point. What is so good on you for doing that? But where is the audit? Where is the place that a parent at that school or others can say, okay, tiles, this, that, urine stink in the bathroom, mirrors broken, blah blah blah, extra extermination necessary, rats found, mice here, checklist, boom boom boom. Where is that? Per school.
It's my understanding that we have that already. Before the $160 million bond referendum, and I know those are capital improvements.
But those are big picture
solutions. They're
solutions.
big picture solutions, but there was an audit done. There was an audit conducted of every school building in the city of Providence, so we know what the deficiencies are. We know what the maintenance
Is that the
requirements
1,400-page report that the city provided to RIDE? Is that what you're talking about? Or where is that documentation that you're referring to?
Well, it should be housed at the Providence Public School District and in the city property office in City Hall.
Well, we know that these kinds of problems are fluid, right? So, all right, take the old list and match it up to the current reality. I mean, you may walk in and the same tiles that you're looking at may not have been present when the report or audit was created. Yeah. Do you understand how simple, I mean, I think you do, how simple this process, and if this was such an emergency, what drug is this mayor on that he responds to this in such a comatose fashion? I don't get it.
No, look, I don't think anyone will disagree with you. There needs to be a greater sense of urgency in Providence to create a public health setting, okay, that is conducive to learning and the safety of not only our students but our teachers as well. I agree with you.
Well, this commissioner is relying on his good faith now, because he has the jurisdiction. She has no jurisdiction. So she's got just a big bully pulpit and pots and pans to bang together right now. There's an old Jersey phrase, I don't know what the Rhode Island translation of it is, but my friends would say, you blanked up, you trusted me. Are we going to have that? Is that what we've got?
Well, I'm confident that the issues that have been brought to public light will be remedied by September. There shouldn't be rats in any buildings. There shouldn't be mice in any of our buildings. I mean, I wouldn't want to go to work every day knowing that there was an infestation problem in the setting where I spend most of my day. So.
All right. And we'll summarize where the city should be on this thing when we come back. Stay with us.
We've been compared to districts and cities that have more poverty, and they're doing better than we are. I think when we talk about numbers, we forget that we're talking about kids. When I hear that only 10% of the kids are at grade level for math, that's the wrong message. What we need to hear and say is that 90% can't. I mean, really? Really? Those are kids.
She has been, I think, to her credit, soulful in her approach and her criticism, but the mechanics of this city are daunting right now. Even in as much as procurement, you're on that one. You guys are still bottled up with having to review an expense over $5,000. Meaning, so if you go into a school and it's like, oh man, the toilet busted, and the plumbing is going to be about $8,500. The city council's got to review that and wait for agendas to be able to, what?
We do. And when I say the city council has to get out of the way,
right,
this is what I'm talking about. And I listened to an interview that the city council president gave recently, and her comments were, I'm not going to act on increasing that threshold because it might not be relevant. It might be a moot point after all of this. Well, we just had a
After all of
conversation
what?
after the conversation that we're having publicly about the state of Providence schools. We just talked about the state statute not being clear in terms of what this commissioner can and cannot do. This is a very small step, Dan. Increasing the threshold from $5,000 to $25,000 should have been done years ago, and Councilman Zeria, myself, and others have been advocating for this for a very long time, to the point where I am now petitioning constituents, Providence voters, so that this issue can receive a public hearing before the City Council. I have enough signatures. I'll be asking more people to sign it so that when we go back in September, we can force a public hearing on increasing the threshold from $5,000 to $25,000. This is the bureaucracy that is getting in the way of improving Providence
I'm guessing
schools.
the original intent was to prevent, people from being in the till and
Fair enough.
Let's review. But for God's
Dan,
sake,
fair enough. And I think you know me well enough where I am a strong proponent of scrutiny and oversight, and that is our role as a city council. You can provide, any legislative body can provide all of the oversight it wants. There's nothing preventing the Providence City Council from calling in the school department and asking, let's go through every contract over the last quarter and let's see where the money was spent. We can do that. There's nothing prohibiting us from doing that. So this very small step, increasing the threshold from $5,000 to $25,000, I think would send a message to not only the district, but folks at RIDE and
by the way,
Rhode Islanders that we are serious about fixing this problem.
I'm sure these expenses aren't limited to the schools either.
No, the ordinance clearly states that any contract above $5,000
Of any kind.
requires city council approval. Now, let's talk about the school side. A PO is created. The school board has to review it. It's kicked over to the city's Board of Contract Supply, where there are 9 members, I believe, where the city council has representation. It goes through the bidding process in that board.
And each of
Then
these
it's sent
meetings are
over
weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks.
sent
Meanwhile,
over
the
to the
toilet
city
is leaking.
council.
Right?
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
Meanwhile, the urine smell is so extraordinary that a plumbing system has to be replaced. You tell the kid in 3rd grade and the teacher has to instruct them that it's at the board right now.
Why a teacher can't receive a ream
Right.
of
Well,
copy
you know
paper.
what? Go get them. I'll help you have people sign the petition.
More
But-
importantly,
Real quick.
we need people to show up. We need people to show up and voice their frustration with this process to the city council when we do force a public hearing on this
And
matter.
that's going to happen in September.
I am going to introduce the petition in September under state law. It has to be advertised in the Journal, and then we will hold a public hearing.
Right. Well, I think the other message you ought to be bringing to your fellow councilors is, can we just get the hell out of the way?
Mm-hmm.
Why don't you just resolve to lay everything down and please create statute that actually empowers the commissioner to do what she needs to do. Appreciate your candor. Thanks, David.
My pleasure.
David
Thanks,
Salvatore. A guy who's got some thoughts on this as well. For tomorrow night, I'll tell you who next. This council, this city government's got to get out of the way. The other half of a dynamic duo op-ed that was published recently will join us tomorrow night. He's no stranger. He's a former mayor of the city. And I think we need to listen to his perspective, and we shall. Joe Palino tomorrow night. We'll see you.